The Detroit Lions have just surprised everyone with an urgent move that's currently the talk of the NFL. Reliable sources confirm the Lions are officially in the market for a major trade, and not just any position. We're talking about a desperate search for an impactful cornerback, something that could completely change the course of the season. And that's no exaggeration. This news broke because 4 powerful franchises are vying for the exact same target: Ravens, Colts, Rams, and, of course, the Detroit Lions. They're all racing against the clock to close deals before the NFL trade deadline, which ends on November 4th. Now, imagine this behind-the-scenes battle happening while the Lions try to keep their playoff dream alive. And before I reveal who the strongest names on Detroit's radar are, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and activate the bell, because here you'll receive the biggest bombshells about the Lions before everyone else, okay? Let's continue, because there's much more to unravel in this story that could explode at any moment. This just happened and highlighted the urgency of the moment. The entire Lions starting secondary was out of the last game against Tampa Bay. That's right, all of them. A defensive nightmare, something no team dreaming of the Super Bowl can withstand. Despite the hope of some players returning after the bye week, the maximum alert is activated in Detroit. Meanwhile, their competitors in this race are also facing serious problems. The Rams just lost Ahkello Witherspoon to a fractured collarbone, going straight to the injured list. The Ravens are without Jair Alexander and Ardarius Washington. The Colts are without Charvarius Ward and Jaylon Jones. In other words, everyone is desperate, everyone is scouring the market, everyone is calling the same franchises at the same time. Now think about it. When the big teams fight for the same piece, the price goes up, the pressure explodes, and the decisions become even riskier. And it is precisely in this chaotic scenario that the Lions are trying to act quickly, intelligently, and aggressively. But what would be the perfect target? Who could be the savior of Detroit's secondary? Take a deep breath, because the names are heavy. Among the most talked about players in recent hours, one name is heating up more than fire and gasoline: Michael Carter II of the New York Jets. Young, only 26 years old, with a guaranteed contract until 2027 and solid performance. One of those players who can come in and contribute immediately. He had already been appearing in trade rumors much more than his teammate Breece Hall, who had also been stirring up the rumors. Carter would be a ready-made, fast, versatile piece in the nickel and capable of instantly raising the level of the Detroit's defense. But he is not the only possible target. There are other names that, if they actually enter the market, would transform this dispute into something even bigger. Trevon Diggs, Reek Woolen, Joshua Williams. Imagine one of these guys wearing Honolulu blue and strengthening Detroit's defense in the final stretch of the season. This can happen, and it can happen anytime. So comment below, which of these cornerbacks would you like to see on the Lions? Who would be the dream addition for this historic run the team is building? Stay tuned, because as soon as any bombshell news on this subject emerges, and it will, I'll be right back here to tell you all about it. Because if there's one thing Detroit has made clear to the NFL, it's this: they're not satisfied with just competing. They want to dominate.
And it doesn't stop there. The front office was advised to make a bold and immediate decision: add the best pass rusher available on the trade market. We're talking about exactly the missing piece to transform this team into a true terror for any opposing quarterback. NFL sources confirmed that the Lions are seriously evaluating a move that could elevate the level of the league's defensive elite. But before revealing all the details, I need to ask you to like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, because here you receive all the urgent updates on the Detroit Lions, analysis, and no beating around the bush. So take advantage and become part of this community, okay? Now, let's get to the point, because this is too big to ignore. Get ready, because what I'm about to tell you shows how the Lions are thinking big and approaching this season as a true race to the Super Bowl. The situation is as follows. The Lions have a consolidated star, a monster named Aiden Hutchinson, one of the most dominant defenders in the NFL. But there's a problem that fans have noticed for a long time: a lack of a high-level partner on the opposite side of the defensive line. They're missing those precious seconds of extra pressure that force errors, turn opposing drives into punts, and change decisive games. And that's where the name that's stirring things up behind the scenes comes in. Analysts around the league have begun to point out that Detroit could take advantage of the Miami Dolphins' sharp drop in performance, which is very close to losing any real chance of a playoff berth. With that, the Dolphins could become aggressive sellers at the trade deadline. And who emerges as the perfect target for Detroit? The explosive edge rusher, Jalen Phillips. A young, athletic, productive player who, when healthy, simply destroys opposing offensive lines. But there's an important strategic detail here. Some believe the Lions also dream of Trey Hendrickson of the Bengals, but they know that negotiating with Cincinnati could be too expensive and unlikely. Therefore, Jalen Phillips ends up becoming a smarter, more accessible target, yet still extremely impactful. Exactly the surgical play needed by someone who wants to win now. And if you're wondering if Phillips is really worth the gamble, consider this. Even having dealt with some injuries in the last 2 years, and therefore only played 12 games between 2023 and 2024, his production remains absurd. He averages more than 7 sacks per season in his first 3 NFL campaigns, and the most recent numbers make it clear that the talent is very much alive. In 2024 alone, he has already accumulated 22 quarterback pressures. Now imagine him taking advantage of the individual duels that arise thanks to the attention that Hutchinson and Alim McNeill already attract from rival offensive lines. That's terrifying for any offense. That's why reporters like Mike Payton claim that Detroit could close this deal by offering only a third-day draft pick, something that doesn't compromise the future and still brings in a player with the potential to become a Pro Bowler in the right environment. Let's be honest, Dan Campbell knows how to develop defensive warriors. If there's one place for Phillips to evolve to the next level, that place is Detroit. And it doesn't stop there. Some insiders even call Phillips the best pass rusher available in this trade window. And when a name of that magnitude enters the market, the competition gets fierce. Other teams know this could be the golden opportunity of the year. But since the current Detroit Lions aren't accepting limits, they're also considering other targets should Phillips slip away. Bradley Chubb, also from the Dolphins, has already been evaluated as a secondary option. However, the cost could be higher, and the front office doesn't want to repeat past mistakes. Jermaine Johnson of the Jets, who had been speculated as a rising star about to be traded, has publicly stated that he wants to stay where he is, completely cooling down that possibility. So when you look at the complete picture, it's clear. Phillips is the great chance to immediately strengthen the defense. The Lions have already shown they aren't afraid to act at the trade deadline. Last year, they acquired Zadarius Smith after Hutchinson's serious injury. And now, with the roster ready to contend for a title after a playoff run cut short by a lack of pressure at crucial moments, there's no room for hesitation. And here's the big question. What will the Lions do? Ignore this opportunity and let a rival evolve, or push all their chips to the center of the table and attack with everything, showing that this season is meant to be historic? The fans are impatient. The analysts are demanding action. The locker room knows that this defense is very close to becoming elite, and the front office is facing the chance to reinforce precisely the weak point that brought the team down last season. If Detroit really wants to reach the Super Bowl, this could be the move that separates the dream from reality. So Lions fans, hold on to your hearts, because in the coming weeks, this saga could have an explosive ending, and if it's what everyone expects, quarterbacks across the NFL will start sleeping much worse. If any news emerges about this rumor that's on fire, I'll be right back here. So like this post, leave a comment saying if you would bring in Jalen Phillips, and of course, go Lions!